Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Necrons. Now in today's video we're going to be doing a 2000 point list video, but we're kind of basing this around a particular epic hero within the Necrons index, and that's none other than Illuminor Szeras. So we're trying to work out a list, build, and yeah, let's just get straight into it I suppose. Now in fact, before we do, we did already do the review for this unit, for this character, so there will be a link. If I remember, I'll put it in the description down below. If not, you'll find it on the playlist. We've already pretty much summed up his data card and all that jazz. So, let's get into the list, I guess. Starting off with the characters for this 2000 point list. Of course, it's Illuminor Szeras. 185 points. Used to be 200 and something, but he had previously been given a price, well, not a price, a cost, no, not a cost either, a points reduction. So he's now only 185. So he went down. He was too expensive. It's arguable that he's still too expensive. I'm not entirely sure. I need to kind of get a bit of practice in. But this list is pretty much a mock idea at this moment in time. Now, in fact, I'm going off on another tangent here, but we will be doing battle reports. I know I keep saying that we are literally getting it prepared. The table's already kind of getting set up. I'm painting terrain at the moment. I'm also painting my entire army in new colours. And yeah, I'm just getting stuck into that at this moment in time. The gold that I don't know if you guys remember, but I had this like really dark gold looking Necrons, and they don't really show up very well on the camera, so we are changing it all up. But anyway, get back into the video, let's focus. Illuminor Szeras, 185 points, he's got the 4+4 no pain save, and he's got lone operative if he's within 3 inches of a unit. He's pretty decent with his Eldritch Lance. What's that? Strength 9, -3 AP, damage 3. That's both in melee and at range. So pretty okay damage output for a character especially. But really it's all about his unique ability or abilities. Mechanical Augmentation Aura. So while for any Necron Battleline units are within 6, you basically get to improve their AP of their attacks by 1, and then any incoming attacks, you're going to worsen the AP by 1. So it's not only a defense, but it's a good bit of offense when we're actually firing out, or in fact in melee as well. So that's only for battle line units, so that's kind of where we're going to steer to within this video. But the second ability, Atomic Energy Manipulator, any models that he destroys in the fight phase, he gets to add 3 inches to his range of his mechanical augmentation. So it starts at 6 inch, and every time he removes a model in a fight phase, so it's not for every model, it's if he clears one model in a fight phase, he gains an extra 3 inch. So that is the warlord of the list. Let's move into the rest of the characters within this 2k list. We're bringing a Ctan, Transcendent Ctan, of course. Why wouldn't you bring the Transcendent Ctan? Yes, it has gone up in points, but it is still good. And I'm adding the Septonal Weave, of course, for 10 points, bringing it to 310 points in total. I mean, this thing's just an action man, really, isn't he? Or action woman, depends on how you want to go. But Septonal Weave is the 4+4 no pain save. I think we've already done the review for this guy as well, or girl. I keep doing that. We've already done the review for this one as well. I mean, the 4+ invulnerable save, then you're halving damage, and the 4+4 no pain save is magical. You've then got the trans-dimensional displacement ability, so when he does advance, he can effectively re-deep strike more than 9 inches away from any models. He will be considered as having advanced, but his range attack is actually got the assault keyword built in, which is nice. So yeah, there's a lot of resiliency there. He packs a decent punch both at range and in melee. That super jump ability is very nice. And yeah, you're still using your ranged weapon as we mentioned. Just stick him at the front and let him go. That's what I do. 310 points, I think is decent. Next, we've got some more characters. So we've got Technomancers. We've got 2 identical Technomancers, and they've both got the Canoptek control node, which are, we'll talk about that in a moment. So they're 60 points each, so it's 120 points for the pair of them. Now these are going to be going within the battle line units that we're going to talk about in a moment. Now what is the control node, you ask? It's the aura ability for friendly Canoptek units within 6 inches, get a +1 to their hit roll. Now, the reason I've gone for the node and not the cloak is because there's actually a very under the radar kind of reason for this. So if you've got the cloak, it gives the bearer not only the lone operative ability, which doesn't really matter if they go in a unit, but it also gives the bearer the fly keyword. Now, if the bearer has the fly keyword, he actually gives that keyword to the unit that he's in, because you share keywords. Now, they don't gain the ability to fly. I think they've specified that in the rules commentary. You don't actually gain the bonuses, but you gain the keywords. So therefore, if your opponent has got any weapons that are anti-fly, 4+, maybe anti-fly 4+ the wound, then it hinders the unit, because they've all of a sudden got fly when they don't really have fly, because we're not gaining the benefits from it. So I like to put the control node on the Technomancer if they're not going to be lone operatives, and also if there's Canoptek units nearby, it will help as well. Now, as for his actual abilities that he's going to be bringing to the Battleline units, where you've got Rites of Reanimation for the 5+ Funo Pain save. Now, the Technomancer ability he won't be using on the Battleline units, because they're only 1-win models, and this heals D3. It's not a reanimation, it's a healing. So he could be using it on other units, but not the 1-win models. So, yeah, he's mainly there for the 5+ Funo Pain, and also, of course, he will be providing command protocols to the unit, a +1 to their hit roll. Now, before we go any further, I need to add that there is a third Technomancer within this list. This one does have the Canoptek Cloak, so he will be a lone operative, and he will have the 10-inch movement, and he will have flying. I'm going to be adding the enhancement on this guy, which is the Sovereign Coronal, and that will make him a 90-point model. Now, the Sovereign Coronal, let's go through those two things just so that we're all clear. Canoptek Cloak we've already mentioned, the Technomancer ability we've kind of just mentioned. He'll be healing a model D3 in the movement phase, and the Sovereign Coronal is an aura, so all units within 6 inches are going to be acting as if they are being led. So the 5+ Funo Pain save isn't going to be used because he's not leading a unit. However, the enhancement means he'll be giving the units around him the effects of being led. Remember, he's not actually leading them, so they're not going to get a 5+ Funo Pain save. They just act as if they are being led. So you'll have to wait until the rest of the list to see how that synergy actually works. Right, let's get down into the Battleline units. This is probably where there's a huge fork in the road, because, well, there's 3 forks. A fork has 3. Yeah, you know what I mean. You've either got Necron Warriors, you've got Necron Immortals, or you can kind of do a bit of a mixed combination of the two. For this video, I'm going down the Necron Warrior route. Now, there is an argument for all 3 sides really, but for this video, I wanted to go down the Warrior route. This is just a mock list, if you like, and I think this was the best option. So we've got 2 units of 20 Necron Warriors. That's 220 points for the units per unit. That's 440 points, of course, combined. Now, I'm taking the Ghost Reapers with all 40 of these. Lethal hits with 12-inch range, 2 shots each, hitting on 4s, but that will go to 3s because of command protocols if the leader's in the unit. Strength 5, minus 1 AP and 1 damage. Now, of course, if Illuminor Szeras is nearby, that will go to -2. They've then got their number as Legion, so they can be reanimating D3 plus 3 if they're on an objective. They should be sprouted across the battlefield to be gaining those objectives quite easily. So as far as damage goes, they're not doing much. So as soon as they get tagged, they're not really doing a lot. But you do have 40 super resilient models that are clogging up the no man's land area. They're covering objectives. We've got loads of defense synergy. You know all about the defense mechanisms. I mean, Illuminor Szeras is one of them, in fact, a -1 to AP of incoming attacks. That's going to be nice. And don't forget the Ghost Reapers are going up to -2 AP, which is also nice if they do get to fire out. That would do a lot of work, -2 AP. They're also going to have the 5+ Funo Pain saves from the Technomancers in the units. But as we mentioned, his Technomancer ability to heal won't work on this unit because they don't heal. They have to reanimate. They're only 1-win models. Next, we move on to one of the, well, we've only got one dedicated transport option within the index, and that's the Ghost Ark. Now, I'm going to be taking one of them for 125 points. With the Repair Barge, you can be using your reanimation protocols. Any phase, as soon as you lose a model in any phase, bang, reanimation protocols. Potentially, you're bringing D3 plus 3, maybe it's D6, maybe it's D3 plus 3 plus D3. There's loads of little things you can do with that. And it's once per phase. So if you get done, if you lose a model in the shooting phase, bang, you bring it. If you lose a model in the charge phase for some reason, do it again. If you lose a model in the fight phase, do it again. It's so good. It's so good. It's also got a bit of damage output as well with the Ghost Ray arrays on the sides. Now, what I'm going to be doing with the Ghost Ark, because you need to have a model embarked within the Ghost Ark in deployment, so I'm going to be putting the main man himself, Illuminor Szeras, in the Ghost Ark to be deployed. So therefore, it fills the criteria of having a dedicated transport legal. Now, I'm not going to be taking 10 Warriors because I just don't think 10 Warriors is playable, so we need to have an infantry character in there. Of course, Ghost Arks have got great synergy with Necron Warriors. 2 lots of 20, you only need 1 Ghost Ark really. A lot of people would say, well, why not have 2 Ghost Arks? Realistically, your opponent isn't going to target 2 Necron blobs at the same time, because that's stupid, really. If you're going up against Necrons, you need to take a unit out at a time. They're already super resilient. They'll be lucky to get rid of a unit unless they've got specific units that can deal with it. So having 2 Ghost Arks isn't really necessary. Now, of course, maybe the Ghost Ark gets targeted, and good luck to them, because these things are fairly resilient. They're toughness 9, 14 wounds, a 4+ invulnerable save. You know, that's okay. That's okay for tankiness anyway. You can actually just have this thing hidden behind obscuring terrain if possible, and still be within range for the repair barge, 3 inches. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now, other data sheets. In fact, before we go to other data sheets, you may have noticed from the characters, in fact, we don't have any resurrection orbs. We didn't have any, no lords, no overlords. I just went purely cheaper than standard because overlords are they're nerfed now, aren't they? I mean, apart from the orb, the actual stratagem might will be done is kind of being nullified. And lords, 65 points per lord. If you've got 2 units of them, that's 130 points. A Ghost Ark's 125. So I thought, why not just have it that way? Yes, you could have all of them, I suppose, a Ghost Ark and 2 lords. But I think that's sort of overkill, and even at 2k, you need to start getting other units within the list. So I didn't want to overspend on that section of the actual list there. So let's look into the other data sheets now. Canoptek Reanimators to begin. 105 points now. It went up in terms of points. With the Nano Scarab Reanimation Beam, you're going to get an additional D3 for your Reanimation Protocols roll. So those warriors on an objective will be D3 plus 3 plus D3, average of 7 models coming back every time you activate Reanimation Protocols, which could be in any phase as soon as you lose a model, with a Ghost Ark there. Nice. It happens in our command phase naturally as well. You've then got the Undying Legions Protocol of Undying Legion stratagem, which you can also do for a CP to activate that in a shooting phase or fight phase as a plan B if the Ghost Ark isn't there or you've maybe already used it. But yeah, if the Reanimator's there, an extra D3. Now, very similar to Illuminor Szeras, the Reanimator has a 4+ Feel No Pain save. And that ability it has doesn't just work for the Warriors, it's going to be working on all the units within 12 inches, including itself. So this thing's actually really hard to get rid of. And if you don't get rid of it in one, then yeah, it's coming back double bubble, D3 times 2, because it has its own reanimation protocols as well. You can also use it as a action monkey kind of unit. It can be doing actions because the damage output from the Reanimator isn't really that strong. So you don't really need to be shooting with it or charging with it. You may as well just do actions where possible. Next we come on to quite the big part of this list. We've got 3 Canoptek Doomstalkers. Now, I wasn't that big on Doomstalkers until we had the nerf to the Doomsday Arks. The cost of Doomsday Arks went quite high, went really high. And it's made the Doomstalkers considerably cheap looking. So they're 135 points per one, for one. That's 405 points for the 3. I'm just going to double check the points cost for the, where is it? Doomsday Ark. 210 points the Doomsday Ark is now. Yeah, I mean, it's not only that, the Doomsday Ark isn't really moving, so you're kind of stuck, and there's a lot of cover in the game at the moment. So I went for the Doomstalkers. I have sort of turned my nose up at them in the past, but at this moment in time, I'm quite enjoying them. Now, their Doomsday Blasters have got Blast and Heavy, 48-inch range, D6 plus 1 attacks, hitting on 4s, but bear in mind it's heavy, strength 14, minus 3 AP and 3 damage. There's plenty of damage output there. The Twin Gorse Flare I'm not that bothered about, to be honest. And the Sentinel Construct, you can do 5+ Overwatch and 5+. Pretty good when you've got D6 plus 1 shots plus Blast. You will likely get some shots off. Now, if you go back to the character section and you remember we've got a Technomancer with the Sovereign Coronal, giving a +1 to the hit rolls for units within close proximity. That's going to be adding to the Doomstalker, because the Doomstalker, yes, it's got heavy, so it will be hitting on a 3+, but even if it moves or has a -1 to hit penalty against them, the Technomancer will resolve that. So it means they can actually move around a bit, get into a better position, better line of sight, and you're going to avoid obscuring terrain, maybe even avoid any sort of cover if you can get the right spot. But I think for the points they are better than the Doomsday Arcs, so I've gone with 3 of them, which is my little castle for this list. Next we've got the Deathmarks. I've got 2 units of 5 Deathmarks, 65 points per unit, 130 points for the pair. They're just brilliant at the minute. They're just so undercosted. I mean, you've got 2 reasons to take, well, 3 reasons why you take these guys. The first reason is the range attack, the Synaptic Disintegrators, basically snipers with heavy and precision. 1 attack each, hitting on 3s, strength 5 on a 2 AP, 2 damage, potentially hitting on 2s with heavy, and 36-inch range against characters in a unit is really nice. The second and third reason, well, the second reason is Deep Strike. A 65-point unit that can Deep Strike for Necrons is outrageous, really. I mean, the next one up, I think, is either the Praetorians or the Ophidian Destroyers. Now, to be honest, I wanted the Ophidians in this list, but I couldn't squeeze the points in. So I've gone with the cheaper option of Deathmarks. Now the third reason is the Hyperspace Hunter's ability to be able to effectively fire in your opponent's reinforcement step from reserve units that are coming in within 18 inches of your Deathmarks. That's not the be all and end all of the abilities for the Deathmarks, but cheap Deep Strike with precision, nice. It's pretty nice. Now they can be doing things, not only are they doing those 2 things that we just said, but what about secondaries such as behind the enemy lines, investigate signal, deploy teleport homer, engage on all fronts? They will assist you with those kind of secondaries. That's why they're in. Next we've got another Canoptek unit. It's the Canoptek, in fact this is the last unit, so we've got Canoptek Scarabs, 2 units of 3, 40 points a unit, so it's 80 points combined. These guys are super cheap. Super cheap way to field an anti-deep strike unit in our corners of our deployment zone, because that's, if you think about the list, we've got 40 warriors that are going to be packing the midfield out. We've got the Doomstalkers, the Reanimator that are going to be slightly behind them. We've got weak areas which is in our deployment zone in the corners. So I want to stick a unit of these on each corner, 9 inches in. So therefore it's going to stop, you know, deep striking Terminators coming in and all that kind of stuff, because there's going to be no space for it. Now they will probably find a space sort of mid-game, because once units start to drop and once models start to drop, there will be gaps, of course. That's inevitable, isn't it? That's inevitable. But they're also good for other factors, such as doing actions. They can be doing actions again. Deploy teleport homer if you wanted to. Maybe it's cleanse if you've got cleanse. And they've also got their own unique ability, which is self-destruction. To be able to throw out mortal wounds in engagement range, and also swarm to be reducing your opponent's OC by 1. Now those abilities probably won't be used early game, because they're just going to be literally holding ground, hopefully out of sight as well, and your opponent tends to just kind of ignore Scarabs anyway. But yeah, the one flaw to having Scarabs is they don't have any OC themselves, but that's why they're so cheap. I mean, I could have opted to take, well, I can't take Trip Throws anymore because they've gone up to 60 points, so I didn't have the points for them. In fact, I think I had 10 points left over, so I could have opted to take a Locust Heavy Destroyer potentially. That has OC and can at least do some fire damage. But I wanted to take Scarabs. But yeah, you can kind of swap out one unit for a Locust Heavy Destroyer unit if you wanted to. You've also got a standard Locust Destroyer, but they're 30 points. You can only fit one of them in, I suppose. Didn't think it was worth it. I'd rather be hidden away with these little Scarab flat bases. So, this list, why do I like this list? Let's talk about why do I like this list. I mean, there's a lot of primary objective scoring with the Warriors. They're extremely tough to get rid of, especially with the Reanimator, the Technomancer, the Ghost Arc, and their unique ability as well, Numbers is Legion. They're going to be really hard to get rid of. A lot of factions you come up against actually struggle to get rid of that many, because you effectively have to get rid of them all in one go, otherwise they're just all coming back. We've got a good castle of anti-tank with the 3 Doomstalkers, and they're not going to be very easy to get to. Your opponent isn't going to be able to charge them because it's going to be, like I said, 40 warriors in front of them, the anti-deep strikes, Scarabs on the sides. so they shouldn't be that easy to grab from in melee, but at range, of course, they're vulnerable like anything is really. But they do have a 4+ invulnerable save, so they are resilient-ish. And we've got a Technomancer, or 2 or 3, to use the healing ability if needed. We've got the punchy wild card of the Transcendent Ctan, which is going to be taking the focus of your opponent, because that's going to be front and center. Will it last? Some games they just don't die, they don't even lose a wound, but in some games they do go down fast. It kind of depends who you're going up against really, but they're going to be a key factor of kind of taking your opponent's eyes off the game. So yeah, I like that. We've got the deep strike units with the Deathmarks, so we can be scoring points depending on what cards we get, and if we don't want to do that, we can just pop them down in our deployment zone and just snipe characters. They can still do that. They've got the precision ability, of course, and yeah, we've already spoke about the anti-deep strike. Now, Illuminor Szeras. Is Illuminor Szeras worth it at 185 points? I'm still not sure. I mean, his damage output is okay. It's okay. I don't seem to have much luck with his damage output. I seem to whiff his rolls, but maybe that's just me and my dice, I don't know. The minus AP and plus AP, it is a big thing. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in game and using that ability, it's really good just to constantly say, nope, -1 AP off that or +1 AP off that, and it is quite annoying for your opponents to have to deal with him. And because they can't target him often because of the lone operative ability, they need to get within 12 inches. So it's, yeah, for your opponent, it's a bit of a headache. And even if they do manage to get hold of him, he's got the 4+ pain save, the 4+ invuln save. He's quite a beast in himself. So he's not going to be a pushover. So that is my mock list for Illuminor Szeras for 2,000 points. I'm going to be trying this out, and I'll let you know how it goes, I suppose. And if you want to try it out, feel free and let me know how it goes in the comments down below. But guys, if you want to see more of these kind of featured lists or themed lists, let me know down in the comments below what you'd want to see, just so I can get an idea of what you want to do and what we want to do. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one.